Okay, we're back, and this time we want to talk about the film, and that word is accurate, Hamilton. We literally just watched it earlier today, so it's super fresh. Probably the freshest like recording after a movie that we've done so far,
Right.
which I think was really neat. We just got through recording a week ago, a movie that we had one of our longer spans as far as like from watch to recording. So this will be really cool. Really excited. Looking forward to it. We're going to do the usual. We're going to rate it. We're going to tell you if we recommend it or not at the end. That'll be fun. Um, but it's really neat that we did a musical. Um, I grew up not believing that I was a fan of musicals, even though I think I did always like, Mary Poppins, which just for whatever reason always stuck with me as a kid. Um, and I didn't really care too much for um, like Disney musicals. There's just something about like I didn't really want to be watching a movie and then they break out into song. I just felt like that was just not what I wanted out of my movies. And then later in life, I changed, and I think probably the biggest change in how I perceived musicals probably came after like being in one. Now, to some degree, like I was in a couple of musicals on stage, but I was not really part of the musical part. I pretty much told him, I was like, look, I want to try this out and be on stage, but I don't have any experience and I can't sing, I can't dance, I can't do any of that stuff. I'll just be like something slightly more than a prop. And I basically got, on stage as there was a scene where I was just a waiter and I had like one line and it was really cool. And I don't know. I think that probably started helping me change my mind towards musicals. But you're not a fan either, Tacoma, right?
No, I'm not the biggest fan of musicals, though I do have a lot of respect for the art because I know there's a ton of effort that goes into it, um, like in so many different ways. But I don't know what it is. I've never really sat down, watched a musical, and really like enjoyed it. And maybe I haven't really enjoyed them as much as I've enjoyed like some movies
Hmm.
because I can think like it's not hard to sit down at a musical and be like, oh, okay, that was cool. Like
Right.
some of the ones you did, we
Yeah.
went and watched some that like I had no clue what they were. Like
Hmm.
they weren't. I feel like to me at least, like I had no clue what they were. They
Yeah.
weren't like super big, so I had no clue what was like going on or
Hmm.
all this. And it wasn't done by like. I mean, obviously there were some good actors, but like we're not talking like pros.
Well, yeah, yeah. I wasn't Broadway, but we had some great talent. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Good talent, but not like obviously the best. So
Right.
it's a little skeptical going into it. But I also like never really find myself like disappointed. I guess like
Okay.
I never go out of one of those things being like, wow, I really didn't like that. I just don't know if I've ever gone out of one like, wow, that was amazing.
So, okay, let me ask it this way. So, I said I wasn't a fan of musicals, and that's true. But I still kind of clung to a couple, namely Mary Poppins was just one that always was like, okay, I can watch that and I love watching that, even though I didn't really think I cared for musicals. Is there one that you're like, well, I'm not really a big fan of musicals, but that one, like that movie I like?
Um, that is a good question. I feel like there probably is, maybe not one that I can think of at the moment. Though I will
Okay.
say Hamilton
It might
would
be might become that.
I would say that's probably a good exception. Like
Okay.
that was one that I was definitely like, oh, okay, for a musical, like I'm not usually like super into these, but that was pretty good. I was like,
Awesome, awesome. So
definitely
let's
exception.
let's roll into it then. Do you have like a synopsis you want to read before we start rating stuff?
Kind of, yeah.
Go for it.
I will. So Hamilton, in quotes,
Hmm.
name, yeah, is the story of America then told by America now, featuring a score that blends hip hop, jazz, R&B, and show tunes. Hamilton has taken the story of American founding father Alexander Hamilton and created a revolutionary moment in theater, a musical that has had a profound impact on culture, politics, and education. captured at the Richard Rodgers Theater on Broadway in June 2016. The film transports its audience into uh, the world of Broadway and show in a unique, intimate way.
Awesome. So the filming was in 2016. I think
Yeah,
it was actually released like 2020. Um, but that's still, I feel like it was so much more recent than that. I don't know why, but like maybe it's because people are still talking about it.
maybe.
But I definitely was surprised when I was like, oh, it's been 6 years since it came out, and it was on Broadway and film 10 years ago.
Yeah.
That does not seem right to me. I definitely feel like it was more recent. All right, well, why don't we jump into our ratings, because this always gives us a really good spot to like really start talking about the movie as we do the ratings.
Right.
How about we switch it up from the last couple times and have you go first on the first few categories, and then maybe I'll go first on the last couple categories or something like that. We'll just
Okay.
fill it out. It's just whatever. So, what did you think about this movie visually?
Visually, it was interesting. I feel like
Yeah.
this is gonna be hard for me because, like, it's gonna be it's so different from
Right.
like movies
Right.
when it comes to visuals. There's no special effects, no like crazy anything. But I will say, like, what you can really notice is a lot of effort put
Mm-hmm.
into it. I feel like a lot of the background like people,
Right.
I feel like do a lot to add to the effects of things and how it works visually. The stage having like multiple like turntables,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
thought was pretty cool. I've never seen that. I don't think for like a stage play or anything.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was pretty neat. It's hard because I'm not sure whether to rate this on like a movie scale or like a play scale because
I
I
think.
mean
I mean, you can take. Well, I'm not telling you what to do, but I'm just thinking out loud. I think you could take the perspective of it being on stage into account, but at the end of the day, I definitely think we should treat it like a film. Compared to any other film. Um, yeah, that's kind of I think where we should be, right? Like,
okay, yeah, I mean I kind of agree like that I feel like it should be judged as such. I mean
hmm,
that is what it is. So as far as films go, it might it might not be super high, but I feel like that's also not a bad thing. It's in its case because I feel like where I'm probably gonna rate it is
hmm,
still a good thing for what it is. Because if like most stage plays, I'd probably put lower than that. I feel like
right,
this is one of the better like ones I've seen visually,
yeah,
but I guess kind of a disclaimer, I haven't seen that many.
right,
So it's a little harder to,
sure, sure,
be for sure on that. I think I might go somewhere around like hmm I'll give it like a 2.
two, okay, okay. That's that's lower than I expected, but I see where you're kind of coming from
But
because you're really comparing it to. Um, I feel like you're comparing it to the box office more than the stage,
right.
right?
Yeah.
Um, but I would rate it higher because to me, even if I'm comparing it to the box office, I was captivated by it visually. Like, maybe it didn't do, like you said, special effects, there's no CGI, there's no whatever, whatever, but it captivated me. And I think so. Initially, okay, let's just be honest. Initially, when I pushed play on this movie, all I knew was, um, mom wants to watch this, so I have to at least consider this. It's not high on my list of musicals that I want to watch. I had no idea what I was getting into. And the thing that I think struck me the most when I pushed play is because this was so far out on my periphery. I'm not paying attention to what this movie even is, like leading up to this. All I know is I know Alexander Hamilton is a historical figure, and I know it's a musical. I did not know it was going to be on a Broadway stage. I thought it was going to be more cinematic. So I was captivated trying to wrap my head around what I'm looking at when I see them come out on stage. And I'm like, oh, what am I watching? And then they managed to keep me captivated by how well it flowed. Like the ensemble cast was doing such a good, well, actually all of the cast, but I think probably the most of the work was done by the ensemble, but all the cast, did such a good job like moving with the set, whether that was moving props while they're singing, and or maybe it was just flowing in and out of the set, and things like that just kept me captivated. The set itself wasn't necessarily captivating, but the way it moved and worked, I thought this was really good visually to me. And visually, I think we have to talk about like costumes. I thought they were great. I mean, I really enjoyed the costumes. I really enjoyed, not just the costumes, but other things aesthetically. So listen, Thomas Jefferson's hair, amazing. I loved certain aspects of that, like the way they would change hair for characters, because this was Broadway. Several actors played multiple characters. I thought they did a good job visually, like changing that. And again, I was just captivated from a visual perspective. So I have to give it at least a decent, like above average score to me. Like it's got to be above the middle, right? So three's the middle. We do a 1 to 5 scale. It's got to be above the middle to me.
Right.
I've got to go at least 3.5. I might even go 4 because I just felt that captivated by it
Wow.
visually. Um, yeah, I'm going there. I'm going 4.
Okay.
Um, we're I mean,
That's
yeah,
yeah. Yeah. I mean,
I couldn't look away. And now, granted, part of that had more to do with the other things beyond the visual, but visually, I felt like I couldn't look away. So they won me. All right, let's keep going. How do you rate this, and how would you want to describe the pace?
it's an interesting thing. You were talking about looking away. I feel like the one thing you can't do with this movie is blink, or else you miss something.
Yeah, yeah.
I would say for the most part, it's a very fast pace. Like
Yes.
it's moving very quickly on almost every part. Like there's some slower parts
Mm-hmm.
that you'll catch the right details, but yeah, it was interesting. I was not expecting
Mm-hmm.
like I wasn't expecting a lot of things about this, to be honest.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But when it was just like music all the way through, and
Mm-hmm.
then it was just like the everyone is singing like the whole time.
Yeah.
That was a little odd to me, but it was good. They did it good, but yeah, very fast, and especially when they're singing fast. I mean,
So was that pacing? Did you appreciate it or not?
I think I appreciated it, but I'm also kind of towards the middle on it because
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know if it's possible to watch this for a first time and really get everything. I don't.
Yeah.
I don't think it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
Um, like not just the music, but like all the events like
Mm-hmm.
happen. Everything happens so fast.
Yes.
So, I mean, it's surprising how much there is even in 3 hours of
Right.
film. It's like that could have been. I honestly, I am glad it's fast though,
Was it a
because
3 hour film?
it was like 2:40, like 2 hours
Oh,
40.
that was
Yeah,
the other thing it did good then, I guess. It was
yeah,
like it didn't feel that long. I definitely, when it was over, felt like, oh, that was fast. Like from a runtime perspective.
right. Yeah, it did feel a little shorter than I probably other 3 hour movies I've seen.
Right.
So I will say it did good on that, and I'm in a way glad it's paced so quickly because if it wasn't, that could have been like I don't know 6 hours,
Yeah, yeah.
and I don't think anyone would have wanted that.
No.
So I appreciate that part of it because
Yeah.
there was definitely a lot there. So I for pacing, I kind of want to. Obviously, I think it was decent.
Mm-hmm.
It was good pacing because I also don't dislike fast pacing.
Right.
I think especially in something like this where it is a lengthy movie because I feel like one of the biggest problems a movie can have is being, say, maybe only an hour and 30, hour 40 minutes,
Right.
kind of a shorter movie, and being paced really fast.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you feel like you go over too many things that are
Yeah.
like, oh, well, I'm kind of questioning this,
Yeah.
and I feel like it just kind of goes over things, yeah, too quickly. So I would say I did appreciate the fast pacing. I do think it's a, difficult to understand at times,
Right.
just because it goes and it like doesn't stop until
Right.
like intermission. But
Right.
like after that, it's full steam ahead pretty much the whole time. So I think it's pretty decent pacing. Um, it's hard because
What's
like
your number?
I
What's your
don't, right,
number?
my
You got
number,
to give it.
it's I want to go higher than 3. I feel
Okay.
like,
Okay.
because I don't know if I really have like general complaints about the pacing, so I don't want to go towards the middle or lower than that for sure, because I
Right.
really didn't have much bad to say.
Right.
I might say like, I'll go. I'm stuck between 3.5 and 4 right now. I'll say 4.
Okay. Okay.
I'll give it a good score there.
Making up
Just
for that visual score, what you're doing, I see.
maybe, but I don't know. I'm just thinking like I really don't have much else.
Yeah.
I don't have many other problems besides the fact that you're not probably not going to catch everything the first time you see it.
Exactly.
Besides that, I think it's
Exactly. And
pretty well
I
paced.
think that's kind of where I'm at too, is that I really liked the fast pace. I was not expecting this, even though it's a musical. And I don't watch a lot of musicals, but I've watched more, right? I've come to appreciate them more than I used to. I was not expecting it to literally be the music from start to end. There was almost zero dialogue that happened outside of singing. Um, was not expecting that. And so there was definitely times that I'm sitting there like googling things going, "Oh, what actually happened there in that like point in history?" Cuz like they so here's the thing. It was fast, you're right. And I do think you have to watch it again to catch everything 100%. It is nearly impossible to catch everything in one watch, which could be on purpose. Maybe
Maybe.
that's on purpose. Um, but it was so good that I was looking for information because they made it everything so interesting. Um, so yeah, it was fast, but done so incredibly well. I'm going to give it obviously a better than average score as well. I might not go quite as high because there were some times where I did feel like if they slowed down just a little bit, I might could process some things a little faster. Um, but I also feel like that's not what they did, and that's okay. Like it still worked. So this is definitely not um, like it's not a 5, or to me maybe not a 4, but it's not bad. Like I'm not hating on it. Um, I don't know. It's weird, so weird because it's good, but like maybe not exactly what I wanted. I'm gonna go 3.5.
Okay.
Um, but it was so unique that there's a part of me that almost just wants to go, hey, let's just give it a 5 because I've never seen it before. Um, because it was that I don't know, it was inventive and well, it was yeah, yeah, it was they took a risk. I think it's a risk, and maybe it's less of a risk on Broadway, and because we're so unfamiliar with Broadway, we don't even have a clue. So
Right.
like maybe it's not even a risk there. I don't know,
Very possible.
but it felt like a risk from a movie perspective. But okay, so the next thing that we like to rate is like the highlight or favorite scene or whatever. Doesn't have to be a scene, but can be. Um, let's just keep the order going. We'll just keep letting you go first right
All
now.
right.
Do you have your highlight slash favorite scene in mind?
I do, which is interesting because I was thinking about this question before the podcast
Okay.
today. And I was thinking, I was like, wow, I really don't know if there was a single moment that really was like big standout. Like,
Mm-hmm.
this is the moment of this entire play. Um, I think for a couple reasons. I go back to the pacing was so fast. It was
Yeah.
like, it was hard to get significance out of a single moment, even though I would say there were also a lot of impactful moments. Just the same, like I think they did really well putting as enough emotion into all the different scenes. I
Yes,
almost was at a
yes,
point where I was like, they're almost all equally as good
yeah.
in that way.
The emotion was good. Yeah.
Right. But then I was thinking about it for a little longer, and I was like, oh, I think there is a scene I do prefer the most out of
Okay.
all of these. And it was the last shootout where Hamilton dies.
Ah, all right.
And I was like, I'll be honest, that was probably like the biggest moment for that play, because it's the play's following his life,
Mm-hmm.
and everything's leading up to that, and there he is. He dies.
Yeah,
And then of course like the after that and everything. But it was a pretty significant moment, and I feel like that
yeah.
was like pretty big. So I was like, yeah, especially because like from the start
Mm-hmm.
they had alluded to that, like it was.
Yeah. Well, yeah, they told you, at the beginning, Aaron Burr's character, you know, kind of starts talking about, hey, this is Alexander Hamilton, and I'm the guy that shot him.
Yeah.
Um, which is interesting because we were talking about how you felt like at least I did feel like I had to keep googling things like reading up on the history, and that I'll say about that scene, there was this allusion to Burr like having uh, regrets about what happened. And I don't know, it made me want to go, and I haven't looked this up yet, so maybe I'm going to, but it made me want to look up, like, was there a recorded, like, did we record him having those regrets? Like, is it written down somewhere? Like, is that something that was maybe, cinematic, well, I guess, or stage, like liberty as far as storytelling? Did they
Right.
take some liberty there, or did that happen? Like, did he have regrets? And I'm really, really curious now, like having watched this and how they portrayed the characters. They did such a great job portraying them. But one of the things I felt like they were portraying there at the end was that regret.
Yeah. Yeah. I lot of stuff going on there. I feel like it was the most standout moment for
Yeah,
that,
for sure.
especially. Um, I feel like I feel like it's really iconic for me personally.
Okay.
It's interesting. One of the things I
I mean,
was
that's a
thinking
pretty big
about a
word,
lot.
iconic.
Well, okay, I guess maybe not iconic.
I mean, it can
It
be,
was
but
very recognizable to me,
okay.
because for me, I had heard like so many parts of it
Hmm.
from like social media.
Okay.
Like a lot of the songs were like super popular like a few years ago, I feel
Right.
like.
Right.
So I would always hear them, and then like watching that and being like, oh, that's where that was from. That's where that's from.
Right.
Like they're all Hamilton. I was like, oh, and especially in that last part, yeah, I was like, okay, it was a really great scene. I really enjoyed it.
Okay. So that's interesting though, because while I knew how big Hamilton was, I, for whatever reason, even though I started, appreciating musicals, this one just never struck me as something to pay attention to. And so I didn't recognize a single song because I kept it that far off on my periphery. I just didn't.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
didn't recognize a single song.
I don't know. I think that's kind of crazy, because like I was definitely not big into musicals, but I feel like at least where I was at on the internet, you couldn't go anywhere without hearing about it.
Right.
So
So that's just maybe another kind of unique thing about our like generational differences. Like
right,
you weren't paying attention, you weren't paying any more attention to it than I was, but you knew all about the songs, and I
yeah,
wasn't paying attention to it and managed to know nothing about them.
right. And maybe I don't know. I'm thinking about it now. That's probably maybe what helped, like my decision, especially because it was recognizable. I was like,
Hmm.
oh, that's the moment when that happens. So I feel like it was also just the biggest part of the play.
Interesting,
So
interesting. So you
big moment.
knew the song they were singing in that final scene.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, okay, I got you, I got you. So how do you rate it?
It's a good question. Man, I really liked it. I feel like I'm gonna go. I feel like I want to go kind of high here.
Yeah.
Maybe not like super high, because I think like you know great moments in film and television and whatnot. But I don't know. I like
I mean, it's your
the
personal
yeah,
thing,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
For the best moment, I would say this is well, definitely better than some movies I've seen. Maybe I'm just saying that because I've seen a lot of movies and I've
Right.
seen some
We've seen some
worse
bad
ones,
movies.
seen
Yeah.
some bad ones. So I mean, credit to Hamilton. I will say it was a really good moment. I'm gonna go probably for a moment 4.5.
Sweet.
I really, really liked it.
Yeah, that's a lot of love for Hamilton. I might be able to give it um, maybe that much too. So for me, it was I don't think it's a scene. Although I will say the first cabinet meeting where they bring out the handheld microphones, that might have been my favorite scene. I don't know if it like is specifically the scene or highlight that I really want to use for this rating, but it could be because it's to me it was that like, oh, I'm so locked into this scene, like it was so good. Um, but I keep going back to almost every scene with Thomas Jefferson. The actor that portrayed that character did such an amazing job. The outfit, the costume, so the whoever was in charge of that, I loved the costume that he was wearing. Um, just the songs, again, I didn't know any of these going into it, but the way the songs, the lyrics, and everything played out for that character, so it's everything about it. Um, so my initial thought was that was my highlight, but I could probably even use that scene, the first cabinet meeting scene. I think I may circle back to that and kind of use that for my rating because I can go pretty high there, and I do feel like it's worth giving it a pretty high score. I mean, it's not quite Captain America picking up the hammer in Endgame, which is a
Right,
like to me, if there's a five that's like the bar, that's the bar,
right.
right? Um, which we'll have to rate and review that and do a whole podcast on that at some point. All the that good stuff. But anyway, if that's the bar, this is above a four, but it's not a five. Um, but it was so good to watch. I felt so good watching it. I got every bit of the experience I felt like I wanted out of a movie scene. Is I'm locked in. I'm enjoying it. I was probably smiling. I mean I couldn't see my face, right, but I was probably smiling. It was that good. So I think I got to go 4.5 as well. Like I just really appreciated the scene. I mean, because it had comic relief in the way they were delivering, but it had seriousness and the impact of what they were doing. It had the fact that this is real history. It had so much depth and so many different elements, and I just fell in love with it. So, here we are. Didn't know we were going to even like Hamilton, and it's killing it in the ratings.
Well, I'll be honest. I kind of figured I'd like Hamilton.
Yeah.
I knew it was like a really big thing, and I was like, I don't know. I feel like if this is like I had always avoided it, but I was like, I feel like if I ever watched this, I
Well,
think I would have liked it.
okay, I guess that's fair. It makes me think
It was so
about
big.
like why do we avoid certain things even if we think it's going to be good. Ooh, that's a really good question to get into here. When maybe we'll um, talk about that after this because I don't want to sidetrack too far before we finish the ratings. But I need to write that question down. That's a really good one. Why do we avoid the movies, even the ones that we think we're going to like? Because there's different answers, I think, to that for different movies. But that's a
Because they're plays, but
well, but I don't know. I don't know. Let's keep going. How do you feel about and ultimately rate the storytelling here?
storytelling. This is kind of hard because I feel like it all comes back to the pacing part.
Okay.
So I feel like generally speaking, it tells a pretty good story,
Right.
but the pacing is so
It tells
fast.
the story quickly. That
It
is true.
tells the story very quickly. There's some parts that are hard to catch on to.
Yeah.
Um, some of I got like confused sometimes when
Mm-hmm.
some of the actors would switch characters.
Yes.
That sometimes made it hard because I was like, oh, who are you exactly, and where are you at in the story? And it was weird at times. The pacing
Mm-hmm.
and maybe just some of the musical parts, like because everything was in a song. It was like
Yeah.
you had to make sure you heard everything and then heard it right, and it was like, okay, so this is what this means, and it was
Right, right. You're having to do a lot of calculating in your head, whereas with a traditional film, um, you don't have to do quite well, depending on what kind of movie. I guess if it's a mystery, maybe you're doing a lot of thinking. But in general, you if it's a good story and they're telling a good story, you're absorbing it, but you're maybe not calculating as much. Whereas, like you're saying here, you're having to constantly calculate. Did I hear that lyric right? Did I catch that person? Who's that person? Wait, oh, they changed. That's the same actor from before. This is a different person, and you're doing all this calculating.
right. I think the main thing is because it was so story driven, like verbally
Yeah,
rather than visually.
yeah.
Because I feel like, you think of the average movie, you
Oh,
could
that's
watch
true.
it
Yeah,
without hearing
that's
it,
true.
and you could probably have a decent idea of what's going on. If you could not hear Hamilton, I I wouldn't have a clue what's going on.
That's a very good point. You can't just watch it with the sound off. You wouldn't get anywhere.
Right.
Yeah, yeah, true, true.
It's very specifically in what you can hear, and like if you miss something, it's totally out there. So I think it's
Which,
interesting the way they did it.
yeah, because
Because
that's not a bad experience.
right,
Right.
it's not bad. It's just definitely not my favorite like storytelling. I mean,
Okay.
I give credit to its uniqueness, but its effectiveness was just like the tiniest bit lacking.
Gotcha, gotcha.
So I might go three. I'm thinking 3.5.
Okay.
Oh gosh, I'm just so not sure
Are
about
you
it though.
don't know if you can lock into a 3.5?
So as far as the storytelling goes, three and a half.
Is it mid or just above mid?
I'll go. I'll go three and a half.
Yeah.
I'll go three and a half.
I like it, and I'll be honest, I'm probably going to land in the same place. And I think a lot of it has to do with if I think about how I felt watching this movie, I felt really, really good. But if we're talking strictly about the story and how it ultimately told the story and how I connected to it, and at one time, one of the things that we had talked about rating, we had a fifth category at one time, and it was sort of that way in which we connect with the movie. And we took that category out because we thought that that category was basically covered in how we would rate the storytelling. They're not the same thing, but like the connection is part of the story in our kind of opinion there. And if I think about as I'm watching this, there were times where I felt like I think they intend for me to feel some emotion here that I'm missing. Like there was just certain moments and I'm like, I enjoy this song and this scene, but I'm not feeling the emotion that you're trying to connect with me. And I think that may just have to do with like the whole like upbeatness of the songs, and then the ones that were trying to draw out a different type of emotion. I was there with them in the song, but I wasn't feeling that same emotion. So I don't think I was able to connect with it quite that way. Otherwise, I think the only other thing I could say you've said already, which is the pace at times left you going, "Oh, did I catch that right? Like, did I hear everything?" And because that's the story and it's audible, like you said, like that's a little bit of a, I think, a glitch from a storytelling perspective. It might be the one thing that, for me, was maybe not a quote negative, but it might be like the lowest thing on the ladder as far as like how much I enjoyed this movie, which I did really enjoy. Which is funny because I feel like when we rate movies normally, that final category, the storytelling, tends to tell the biggest story as far as like how much we enjoy the movie.
Right.
I don't know if that's going to work here because I think I'm going to probably land at a 3.5 with you on the rating for storytelling. But I think if I were to give a true, like, where would I put this movie? and I know we're going to do the math here in a minute. It's going to tell us, but like off the top of my head, it's at least a 4 to a 4.5. Um, but and normally, if I was going to rate a movie there, the storytelling category would resemble that, and it
Yeah.
won't this time because it just kind of missed the connection. But everything else about it was so good.
Right.
And maybe that's something that theater brings that traditional film, like that. Maybe that's where they differ. Is you can enjoy a theater experience in such a way that maybe at the end of it, it maybe isn't the best story, and you still really enjoy the experience.
Right.
Whereas I feel like film sometimes is maybe more dependent on the story. What do you think?
Uh, I think it goes both ways.
Okay,
Well, because I
so
think
you
about
so
some.
so the right film can do the same thing. You think?
Right. Oh,
Okay.
I think you're surely. You think of like big visual movies like Transformers or like Godzilla.
Well,
I go into one of those movies and like
I mean,
I could not tell you what the story of Transformers is. I don't know what it is,
I mean,
but the movies are pretty cool.
I agree, but I also feel like it it does drop my score though when I'm thinking about if I'm going to rate that. If I were to rate right now any Transformers movie, which I agree, I can't tell you what any of them are about. Well, okay, Mark Wahlberg finds a Transformer in his garage, and then something else happens after that. I don't know what happens. Uh, but to me, the fact that I can't tell you what the story is, I would rate it lower. Like just a whole bunch of impactful explosions is nice, but not good enough for me. I feel like.
Right. I mean, I could see that, but
Yeah, I don't know. I think that's kind of where I'm at on that. Like, I feel like I do need a good story to cling to a movie. And I feel like this one's a little bit of an exception because the theater aspect, I think, drew me in so much that even with the story, and here's the other thing, too, it only lacks a little bit. Like, I could tell I wasn't connecting at times when I knew I should and I felt like I wanted to. But we're not talking about a bad story here either.
right.
Right? Like Hamilton's real story is interesting, and the way they portrayed it was also interesting. Um, so it's not. I mean, we both of us at 3.5 are above average.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
For sure.
yeah. So we're not hating on it. It's just it didn't hit the high marks.
Probably just the weakest. Well, actually, I guess in my opinion, it's not the weakest part of the
All
movie.
right. Yeah, you did not like the visuals.
Well, I mean, again, I go back to it's not that I don't like the visuals. It's just they just don't stack up to
Well, okay, yeah, to Transformers.
everything you can compare it to. I mean,
Yeah,
the camera was limited to the stage, and they did fantastic with what they had. They just couldn't do better than movies.
right, right. Okay, so I'm going to let you do the math and figure out what our average score is. So we had initially talked about using this time to think through, is it even fair to discuss, rate, rank, or not recommend whatever this film based on how we traditionally rate and recommend films? Because you can make the argument it's like 90% just a Broadway play and only 10% a movie, if you wanted to even call it a movie. But I think we have to because they presented it to us as a movie. We go to, you know, Disney Plus or wherever we go and we click on movies. Is it a musical? Yes, but still a movie, even though it's the most unique presentation. Well, that's not true. It's not the most unique presentation. There is also maybe this could be a deep cut here, but there's a Metallica musical movie that is actually quite fascinating. It may have to go on our list now that we just done Hamilton, but it's like in a concert, but there's also this cinematic thing happening aside from the concert. So what they did is so weird and cool. They filmed, um, one of their concerts, so you're getting the full songs and everything. It's like watching a concert on TV, but throughout it, they're like switching over to this cinematic thing happening where this fan is, I I don't even know the whole story. Like, it's been a while since I watched it, but like, there's a fan who's trying to get somewhere and being chased, and I don't remember all of it. But yeah, there's this like side quest that's cinematic on top of their actual concert that you're watching. Anyway, so there's definitely some unique movies that I think still count as movies, and so we have to treat it that way, even though they literally filmed a Broadway play or
Right.
Broadway musical slash play, um, and that's what we're rating. But yeah, it's still a movie.
It is still a movie at the end of the day.
So that was one of the thoughts. The other thing I think, and maybe we could do this. You know what? Let's do this after we do our final rates. Yeah,
Ratings?
ratings. Yeah, there we go.
Ratings.
I don't know what I was trying to say. We'll do our final ratings. We will recommend or not, and then if we'll see how much time we've got. We might circle around to that question that really got stuck in my head. Um, what do we? Where do we land?
Uh, so you had the highest score, surely.
Yes.
I had the lower score. I had a total 3.5. Um,
All right. Do you think that is, if I were to just go in blind, you don't know where you would put five categories, and I just said rate this movie, do you think that's lower or higher or really, really close to where you think you'd be?
I think it's pretty close. I think your total is maybe a little bit closer to where I would figure.
Okay.
I think it's just a tad lower than I might would give it total.
Okay. So you might go higher.
I might would go a little bit higher, but I think for the most part that's probably about where it's supposed to be. I think for my
Okay.
ratings, because I guess I'm still going up against putting this up against movies here,
Right.
so it's competitive, but it was really good for what it was.
And
So
where'd I land?
you landed at a 3.9, almost a
Oh,
4.
so I'm going to say then that is actually lower than where I would go if somebody just asked out of, 1 through 5, where do you rate Hamilton? I'd have to go at least 4.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd go quite 4.5. And then, you got to reserve 5 for very, very few things, right?
Right.
But I'm at least a 4. I really enjoyed the movie. I enjoyed sitting back and watching it as a movie. Just not trying to think about it as Broadway, just thinking about it like I'm watching a movie. I really enjoyed it that way, and I honestly, I think, like thinking about it that way more than if I was to think about it like watching a stage Broadway musical. Um, because when I compare it to just watching any other movie, I still feel like it's way up there. I liked it that much. I was impressed. Um, but I was impressed. And now I want to quickly circle back around. Why did I avoid it for so long? Now, for me, I did not think I was going to like it that much. You, on the other hand, kind of anticipated enjoying it that much, but you still avoided it. Why do you think
Yeah.
that is?
Um it's kind of weird. I feel like probably the biggest reason I avoided it was its popularity.
Okay.
Like I'd see so much content and different stuff about it, and I'm like, everyone's making it out to be the next big thing, and I feel like I kind of like that with
Yeah.
uh not a lot of things, but for some reason some things when they come up and then everyone's like, this is the greatest
Right.
thing ever, I'm kind of like, maybe I won't check
Yeah.
that out right now. Like,
Yes, and I absolutely do the same thing. Probably less so with movies and more with television. There are absolutely shows that if they are popular in the moment, I think to myself, I don't want to be on that bandwagon. I'm going to watch this once it's run its course and the popularity has faded, then I'm going to watch it. And I can give you a quick example. Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. I waited on those, and actually did not even anticipate liking them necessarily. I just knew I needed to let it run its course and then try it. And I ended up loving them. Um, but I didn't really know until I tried it.
right. No, I agree. It was kind of the same thing with me in Breaking Bad. Like everyone was always talking about it. I'm like, yeah, I bet it was a really good show. Like I had that like expectation going into it because I was like, everyone just there's always hype around it, but
Right.
eventually I got around to it, I was like, okay, well, it's been around for so long, I'll give it a shot, and it
Yep.
was phenomenal.
I think the only other reason that I can think of for sure as to why I will avoid a movie, even if I know or believe that I'm going to enjoy it, is if I believe it's going to be heavy emotionally. I'm like, ooh, I'm gonna feel too much watching that one. I'm gonna wait, or sometimes just like completely try not to watch it at all. But
Interesting.
yeah,
I don't think that's ever been a reason for me.
definitely a
I
reason for me.
Yeah, I feel like the more emotionally impactful a movie is, the more I want to watch it.
Interesting.
Like,
Well, so that's healthy then. That means I didn't pass down my, unhealthy connection with emotions because I definitely grew up avoiding those. So hey, win for me as a parent.
right? I yeah, because I feel like I want to feel something when I watch a movie,
Right.
like whatever emotion it conveys. It's like
Yeah,
I want to feel those things.
I've definitely
If it
gotten
does
better
that,
at that, where I can appreciate feeling something in a movie. But I think that's why I clung to action movies so much for most of my life, because it's like it's an escape where I don't have to feel emotion. It's just we're just gonna have some
yeah,
explosions and yeah, it'll be just fun.
yeah,
So that's interesting. That's cool to kind of process out loud on the radio on the podcast. Okay, final thing. Recommend or not?
recommendations. Uh, yeah. I mean, I definitely recommend this.
Yeah,
It's big. Everyone. I feel like everyone's heard of it.
we're probably the last people to watch it. Everybody else is already.
Probably, yeah, we're probably the last people to watch it. But still, if someone has been under a rock longer than us,
All right.
then I would definitely recommend it. I mean, you have to see it. It's one of those must sees. I feel
I
like.
completely agree. We definitely avoided this one too long. So yeah, if you're still avoiding it, just um, go watch it. It's worth it. 100% worth it. Even it's one of those. I think even if you don't love it, you don't rank it as high as we do. You have more critiques than we did. You know what? That's fine. It's worth watching anyway. It
Right.
really is. It's unique. It's different. It'll be. I don't think it's going to be like too many things that you've seen. Maybe if you watch more musicals than we do, it'll be similar to something you've seen before. But I felt like it was super unique, super unique. So it's worth it. Watch it. Anything else?
I don't think so. I think that's it.
All right. Final word is go watch it.
Yep.
All
Go
right.
watch it.
Till next time. We're out.